Evening, guys. Sorry for being away for so long. It has been quite a crazy few months, really. I just wanted to catch back up with you all and see why the page is changing. We'll still be doing Zen World. It always will be about my little boy's needs in the Zen world, with ICANS, with ARFIDs, with other sensory needs, and his autism. But the channel's going to be taking a different avenue, but still been around the send world. And that's mostly because we noticed just before my little one left nursery that they did a session around gardening, which I wish, should have done it sooner, really. And he thrived from being outside. He thrived from touching the herbs. He enjoyed getting his hands dirty. He was a bit iffy, like had to get it off him, but soon came around it and went back to it and did it again and repeated it. Then he clicked, was like, oh, hang on a minute, I'm still okay. I can go wash them at the end instead of having to go back and missing and coming back. So we started coming up with different ways at home, of how we could introduce that into his everyday need. So our new journey will be exploring different ways to garden using recycled materials, that are at home everyday use. My little boy came home with his egg cress at nursery with just like a yogurt pot with some cotton wool inside it and some seeds. And I didn't have a watering can at the time whatsoever, so 2 seconds, I'll just get it for you. We came up with a new initiative. And if I can find it now. So we came up with new initiatives around a lot of resources that we had at the time. And I had an empty flash. This is an empty flash bottle, and it said at the back, I was going to look to see if it could go in the recycle. It said do not recycle, so this was actually going to go to the black bin. So we changed this, and he was using this to water his egg cress. Obviously there's no bleach in there, it's just water. And he thoroughly enjoyed that. He really enjoyed touching it, feeling it, growing it, creating it, and we will definitely do that again. I also realised this year that no matter the size of your garden, small, big, I have a reasonably small garden, like, but I still managed to use what resources I had available in the garden, what, the person that was here before had left behind, and I'll do a video on show you what the previous person left behind and how the garden is. We haven't really touched the garden. We've grown vegetables. We haven't really done anything to the lawn. I've cut the grass. And that's about it, really. And we will be exploring the borders, growing vegetables, fruit, flowers, exploring different ways on flowers as well, because I know some flowers you can actually take the petals from and use them as herbs. I intend to also make a herb garden, which will again cater for food needs, but also in the Ican's World. My little boy is under food role play. I know I've mentioned and done videos on ARFIDs and food role play and other things before, but it can get to the stage where it gets expensive. You know, he might want, let me think, what was it? Strawberries, for instance. We got some strawberries over the summer. We got one batch. Strawberry plant as well we got, and I thought, great, fantastic, he wants to do this. He hasn't eaten one strawberry whatsoever, you know, but other family members of ours have. I have, you know, uncles, aunties, other family members have eaten the fruit and veg that I have done this year. And it is only the start of September, and I do intend to try and grow onions and garlic. Now the reason why I'm going to try these is because I know my little boy does like garlic bread, so if he can see where garlic comes from, and I can use it as a nice food role play session for him as well in his Senko bowl, then that to me is a win as well, because he's planted it, he's touched it, he's getting compost on his hands, and he's learning. And again, he's been outdoors, you know, he's getting fresh air, he's learning, he's where he feels most comfortable. And I will do my very best, you know, to help him in his way. This year he wanted to grow potatoes. They didn't work out very well, but we tried, you know. Next year I know that I'll need to be adding more compost or soil or whatever else from it, but I do know that I started off with egg containers, and I've got one of them here. In fact, tiny little things, didn't really grow, but I can try again next year. And we got, I think there was like 3 for £2 in either Poundland or B&M. And next year we'll do the same, you know. We started off stuff like this, egg containers, you know, he grew his seeds in containers like these, and then we had to figure out the rest. And you know, we rummaged through the shed that was left from the previous tenant and found a few little bits that we could tie us together. I do intend to keep this channel as much about recycling, reusing and rethinking in the gardening process, just because of how much the schools and the nurseries are using climate change in schools, and a lot of areas are asking for wildlife areas, for bees, for all that lot. So we will be including wildlife nature areas, and you know, bees, caterpillars, I don't know, opening a wildlife space, opening the garden, see if any hedgehogs coming out. I don't know, we'll see what happens. Even though the potatoes didn't work, I do intend to do them again next year, and add more compost to it. I know the mistakes we made this year, and you know, again, it's trial and error when it comes to gardening. And it's still produced vegetables using mostly recycled materials. I think, you know, Poundland or B&M or Amazon, one of them lot I got the bags from. I think that was on about £3, £4, something like that. But I do intend to do videos on trying to keep it as cheap as possible. We've used what little resources we had available. My friends and family have bought some of the gardening stuff for us. One of these kits here in here, it's got some gardening essential items in it, trowels and forks and stuff like that, which is still brand new, as you can see, still haven't been used. So I will be intended to use them to what I can do in the garden, really. I intend to try as much vegetables, fruits, flowers as I can, and show that the little space that we do have, it can still suit many people. I don't have much space out there, even on a patio. It can be done very cheap, and we will be having a look on websites to show how cheap it actually can be to, one, have the stuff already at home, two, it's now coming to the end of year for the gardening, so if you're going at this time, you're going to grab a bag, which will then be able to give you a push ahead and a start for the next year. And three, you're producing your own fruit, vegetables, plants, which again is your own produce. Again, you're outdoors, helping with your mental health, sensory needs, fresh air, it's yours and you should be proud of that. And I really do encourage as much outdoor activity as I possibly can with my little boy. He thrives from it. He loves it. He loves running around. He loves jumping in mud. But we've got a boggy area in our garden, so he'll always go over there in his wellies and just stamp in that boggy area for a while. He's now growing up where he doesn't really want his water area no more. He had a water table when he was about 2, but he doesn't want it anymore. So what could we use a herb garden for that? Could we make that into a pond for wildlife? What ideas could we come up for that? But I will produce a video on the garden, and we will go through the highs and the lows, I guess. Still on the Senko roll, still as a Senko mum, still being there, still doing Senko rolls, but we will be taking it down a different road that I know my little boy thoroughly enjoys, and he enjoys being outside. We have gone from having a paddling pool outside that a bee landed in, and that's how we now have endless buckets of containers outside to save water, which then my little boy he's now got his own little watering can, he needs to replace it. But before, he was using cups or like whatever he could really find outside, whatever he had available, to water the plants with. This year we have a box full now of seeds that we can reuse next year. So we can now, these are growing, these have dried out now, so we've got a lot of sunflowers there, which again next year, if you dry them out, you've got your own sunflowers that you can produce again the year after, which helps animals, and also you can give to the birds as well. We've got sweet peas in here. Yeah, we've got a whole box full that I'm all falling out of seeds that we have saved and dried out, ready for next year. You know, we've tried to do it as naturally friendly as we possibly can, really. These are the potatoes that didn't really work out for me. It was just a bit too small. But again, you know, it's produce. It is a potato, you know. Can't deny that's not a potato. It's just didn't work quite well as we expected. But it's still, again, it's a potato. We'll be going through different aspects. Like, there's still a lot of jobs that can be done in autumn, September, you know. I said today earlier, I was walking past a lot of acorns, and one of them could be, you know, again, to grow an acorn tree. You know, it don't have to be big. You can try to keep it small, you know. You don't even have to keep it in the end if you don't want to. Go out into the woodlands and replant it, you know. We intend to continue to collect yogurt pots, toilet rolls, you know, any essential items that we will reuse again that would otherwise go to landfill, that will give you a starter on the gardening year. And you know, that money that you might not have that 1 month with cost of living, and I know how everything is tight this year and last year. How, especially with the food role play in our house, you know, food prices have rocketed, but then when you're adding more items and you're not seeing all them items being eaten, and it's just because of food role play that you have to buy these items, and you're like, there's got to be some other way. There has to be. So that's why we came up with, we'll grow our own stuff. We'll use it to our advantage, you know, and he enjoys it. So, you know, why not go on with something that he thoroughly enjoys and would make him happy when, you know, he loves going outside anyways. He loves being outdoors in all most types of weather. He doesn't really like rain on him. But who does? Who likes getting the hair wet? I don't. But we're gonna do different, I don't know, different ideas. Garlic, onions, you know. Try and make an autumn wreath. Learn about autumn, the different colours, the different plants you can grow. You know, plant up bulbs for next year for daffodils, and then, you know, you've got something to look forward to when them yellow flowers or the crocuses or the snowdrops, whatever, come out. But also, you know, challenge ourselves. I want to try and do a challenge at least. Once a month, maybe it depends. But see if what you can get, I don't know, at different prices, like a tenner. See what items we come home with, compare it to different shops, you know, whatever else. But we will be going through, I know that in the shed that the guy left a load of stuff there, so I haven't gone through stuff, to be honest with you. A load of gardening stuff that I really need to go through, loads of seeds, loads of all sorts that I really should have a look at. And really thinking and reusing what we already have available at home. And I do hope that, you know, you join us on our journey. I'll do some morning chats. I've got some woods down the road, so I intend to use the woods for canes, for wood, you know, all things natural that are lying on the ground that you can reuse. That's not in somebody's garden, that's laying on the ground, that's legal. And show you all really just how easy it is, and once you use your initiative, you know, it really is. It's quite easy and straightforward to transform a small area into something that you can eat. You know, you've got in your garden that's produce from home, that's not got pesticides on it, that you know where it's come from. So I really do hope you all join us. I will do another live in the morning, a morning chat, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.